This is The Coach, an AK experience with me, Anthony K, and Coach Hugh Jackson. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Hey everybody, welcome to The Coach and AK experience. I'm Anthony K. He's Coach Hugh Jackson. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, Anthony. How you doing?
You know, I could be better. My picks last week did not go as well as expected. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start there.
Absolutely.
And what we'll do is we'll go through last week's games, maybe make some picks for this week's games. We're going to talk about some Bitcoin. And then we're going to end it off. There's been a lot of movement with coaches. And we're going to talk about some of those hires, some of the GM hires. And I actually want to ask you about Deshaun Watson as well, too. So put that out all on the table. But let's start with last week's games. Saints and Bucks. Saints had beaten the Bucks twice in a row pretty handedly. We thought it'd be closer, but we still thought the Saints would pull it out. Drew Brees did not look like Drew Brees, throwing 3 picks. And let's start there. And by the end of it, I do want you to tell me, Belichick or Brady, who is more responsible for the success in New England?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Dr. Shavers wanted you to know that he was 4-0, I believe. He was very excited about his picks.
Yep.
He was dead on. He knew how they were gonna work out, and he was the best. So
he was the lone wolf. I put it out there, and he looks very smart right now. Yes.
Kudos to the doctor. But no, that game was it was different. You said it. Drew Brees didn't play the way Drew Brees would play. I know everybody talk about he's going to retire. I don't know if that got to him. I don't know if the moment got to him. But again, anytime you play a team for the third time, it's hard. I've been through those situations before. Those teams really work at finding ways to beat you. And obviously that's what Tampa Bay did. It seems like the moment when they needed the most, Tampa Bay showed up. Now, all their points were scored off of turnovers. And that just goes to show you in those particular games, you turn the ball over, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
And Bucks didn't turn it over.
If you're Drew Brees, and you've kind of put it out there that this is going to be your last season, which I hate doing, by the way. I hate when athletes do it because you never know.
Right.
Does this game, do you think, pushes him to, yep, it's time for me to go? Or does it, I don't want to end it on that note?
The competitive athletes say, I do not want to end it on that note. The smart man who has played this game for so long, and now he's 42, I believe. I think you got to make that decision for your family and move on. The game's been good to him. He's been good to the game. He's made a ton of money. He's had some unbelievable highs and not a lot of lows. Obviously, walking away like this will stick with him for a while, but at the same time, I don't think it will tarnish his legacy at all.
Yeah, we can't, it's unfortunate where he is today, but but I'm going to relate it to a basketball player who we lost almost a year ago now, right? He had a farewell tour and a final game. If you could write a script, that's the way you want to go out. It never seems to be the case in football, though. It's tougher, right?
Oh, very much so, because so many things have to go right. There's more players than in basketball. So many things could go the other way, and they did for Drew, So it's unfortunate it didn't happen the way that we all wish that our, star player would go out. But at the same time, I mean, he was great to the game, and the game was great to him, and he will be remembered for what he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the all-time greats, Drew Brees. So Tom Brady going to his first NFC Championship game, but only because he's only spent one year in the NFC. What did you see you mentioned all their points came off the turnovers. What did you see out of Tom? He looks pretty good. Some deep balls there. Had some pretty.
I saw is a team first that was starting to gel. And then I saw a quarterback who looked very comfortable in a new system. It seems like there have been some working through things on offense between the offensive staff and Tom. I think he's gotten some things the way he needs them to feel comfortable so he can play at a high level. I think his teammates respond to him, and I think that's very obvious. And if you're going to turn the ball over, you don't want to turn it over against him because he's going to make you pay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. And he played extremely well. Like I said, they didn't turn it over, and New Orleans did, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, the defense also looked good. I'm sure it helped having Jones and Fournette starting to run like what we expected a little bit, not getting as many carries because he's kind of in that timeshare with Jones, but the running game sure helped, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I have to back up because it'd be remiss of me if I didn't say that what Todd Bowles did on defense,
Yes.
get those turnovers was a masterpiece. And I texted him that after the game. I said, Todd, that was a masterpiece because he did what he hadn't done for those 2 games previous. And all of a sudden he got his guys up on defense and they played spectacular. And so he earned the right in that game because I thought the defense was the difference at the end of the day, getting those turnovers,
Right.
putting the opposition, and like you say, Leonard Fournette running the ball extremely well, Ronald Jones running the ball extremely well, and Tom playing mistake-free football. That's what won the game for him.
The defensive side, you mentioned Todd Bowles, and that's why I brought it up. Like the defense played much better than in the first 2. Do you find that when you have listen, they probably knew, right? Week 1, the Saints and Bucks knew they were probably going to meet at some point in the playoffs. Do you hold back some of your, whether it be blitz packages, schemes, the way you disguise coverages? Do you hold some of that back, knowing, hey, we're playing the Saints, we know we're going to play them again in the playoffs? Did he throw some new wrinkles out there?
Oh, absolutely. So from game 1 to game 2, there's adjustments. And then in the game 3, there's a lot of adjustments because you're so used to the team. You've seen them enough. There's a book on them. You know who they are. They know who you are. So it's who can come up with the best game plan and who really exposes the other team. Those are the teams that win. So again, kudos to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers staff. They did a great job on defense. They did a great job on offense. And that's why they won the game.
And now they have to leave sunny, warm Florida and head up to the frozen tundra.
Absolutely.
In Green Bay. I think we all expected Green Bay to beat the Rams. If there was going to be a chance, the Rams defense would have really had to play an exceptional game. It's not that they played poorly, but that Green Bay offense is looking pretty good. And yeah, they got the home field advantage for a reason. So any thoughts on anything? The Rams had a quarterback who was hurt in Goff. Is there anything you think you saw in that game that would have made you believe the Rams could have pulled that one out?
No. And I tell you why. I just didn't think they were going to have enough firepower to score enough points. I didn't see it. I thought they would play decently defensively, but Green Bay also exposed them on defense as well. So, I mean, obviously Devontae Adams and Rodgers is playing lights out right now, and they're very confident, and the runner is running extremely well, and Aaron Jones. And so they have something there that is special. Now, can Tampa Bay unseat that? I'm sure we'll talk about that as we move forward, but it's going to be very interesting because this will not be a surprise to the Tampa Bay team. What I mean by that, Tom Brady came from the cold. Being in New England, understanding those environments. So you better believe he's preaching to the team. He's preparing them, just like teams need to prepare when they came to Tampa. There's teams that need to prepare when they go to Green Bay. And who's the best guy to learn from than your leader? That's where he won a lot of Super Bowls and became the great Tom Brady is in the cold. So I think he'll use his experience for this game this week.
So let's do that. Let's stick in the NFC and talk about this week's matchup then, because it might be, I don't know that, it's funny. We went from Breeze and Brady, which is an all-time great quarterback matchup, to Rodgers and Brady, which, you've got one side, arguably the GOAT, all the rings, all the accolades, all the awards. Rodgers, who doesn't have all the rings, but listen, if you talk skill-wise, the ability to the accuracy, the throwing arm, he's got everything you want in a quarterback. You know how I feel to give a compliment to a Packer. It's very difficult. However, I hate him today, but I'd love him if he was a Bear. He's in the GOAT conversation just because of his ability. It's not even right. So when and it's a contrast. And we're going to talk about the AFC where you got these two young, mobile quarterbacks. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl because you're going to see really the veteran great versus the up and coming superstar, which I find whatever matchup it's going to be so good. So you got these two greats, Rodgers and Brady. They're colliding. I think you're going to tell me the Bucs have the better defense than the Pack. How do you see this game looking?
The first thing I'm excited about is this is two California quarterbacks.
Right.
Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, they both California guys, Northern California guys, know of each other. Tom Brady, we almost convinced him when I was at Cal to leave Michigan and come back to Cal. And come to Cal, I should say, when I was with. So that was awesome. And just to watch these two guys' careers take off, it is amazing. I was just having a big conversation with a group of athletes today when we were talking about quarterbacks. And one guy says, Aaron Rodgers, hands down, just what you just said. Skill is off the chart and all that. And I kept asking him, how do you measure quarterbacks? And it was skill until it became about winning. And then you have to talk about Tom Brady,
right? Because
he's the GOAT. I mean, we can say what we want. He's the GOAT. He's won so many games, so many Super Bowls. You have to give him that. So if this was just a game of skill, there's no doubt Aaron Rodgers would win it hands down, but it's not. It's a team game. It's a game of wins and losses. And at the end of the day, I really believe that Tom Brady and the Bucs will devise a plan. Now, they've already beat them one time this year in Tampa. I think they will devise a plan. I don't think the weather will be the issue. I don't think all the elements, those things will play into this. I think what's going to play into this is two really good quarterbacks, two really good teams, a defense of the Bucs that I think is starting to get hot. Their secondary played much better last week. If they can repeat that, they have a chance. Aaron Rodgers can get hot and run away with this game too. And don't think they're not smarting from the butt whooping they took down in Tampa. So they're going to be excited about these guys coming to Green Bay. But in the end, I go with experience and winning. So I have to go with Tom.
And in the coaching matchup, so on the field, I agree with you, right? I think they've got the better defense. Tom just knows how to do it. You've got one coach who's, younger. And then on the other side, you got two experienced guys. Do you think that's going to, is not that the moment's going to be too big, but you think that obviously, so they've got the edge in coaching as well? Or have you seen something out of Green Bay that you're like, no, not as much as we think?
Not as much as I think we think it is. I think the matchup game will be different. I think Jair Alexander is one of the best corners in the league, and he will take one of several Tampa Bay targets away. But there's several, and that's going to be the difference for Tampa Bay. I think Mike Pettin will do a great job of preparing the defense for Tom. They have unbelievable rushers, but this team blocked some unbelievable rushers last week. So it's really going to come down to, again, the matchup with the coaches and strategy and making the right decisions at the right time. Yeah, Bruce Arians has been there. This coach, he's working his way, and he's had a heck of a start in Green Bay. But at the same time, experience normally wins out.
Yeah, I was going to say something that's overly simplistic, right? Like the Packers, you have Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams. And if you can contain those guys, easier said than done, you have a shot. Whereas in Tampa, you've got Antonio Brown, who's looking good. You still have Gronk and Bray and Godwin and Evans. It seems just a constant flow of these great offensive players that, and what, like you said, if the defense gets going too, I think it's gonna be like, so I'm only going to say Packers because you picked the Bucs. That's the only reason, just so we can.
Good.
I've never picked the Packers ever. I'm just going to do it. That's my only reason. All right, so we're going to switch over to the AFC. I'm going to start with the Chiefs and the Browns. And have you heard anything? I know that they said Mahomes has kind of gone through the first phase of his concussion protocol. Is there cause for concern? Because I'll tell you, it looked scary when he got up. He looked really out of it. And so is that, you think he's going to have, like, I think if there's any way he can play, he's playing, obviously. I don't think he's going to, but do you think there's going to be any ill effects coming out of? Yeah.
I don't. I don't think anybody would risk his career for playing in this game. At the same time, it wasn't a concussion, as people said it was.
Right.
They said it wasn't a concussion; it was a nerve, and you can see his head. Now he never got hit in the head. His head ended up bouncing off the ground a little bit, but it was the arm wrapped underneath the neck that caught the nerve, and I think for a minute there caused a reaction, to the brain,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it looked concussion-like. But I hope everybody remember him running to the
Right.
locker room.
Yes.
So that I told you it wasn't a concussion. If you get a concussion, you're not running to the locker room. It just doesn't happen.
Well, when I saw it in real time, I was actually watching it, obviously, with just my family, because we can't have gatherings, which normally would have been a bunch of us. But I looked to my wife and I said, "Hey, it looked like his arm was wrapped around his neck. It looked more like he got choked out versus an impact, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe he did lose consciousness, but more so from the wringing of the neck." So let's hope, because you want the best players playing in these games, obviously. But to your point, you obviously don't want to put him at risk if there is any risk. Because with that, when that happened, obviously the Browns had a chance. They kept it. They had it close. That Higgins. Any thoughts on that Higgins goal line? There's been that fumble, the touchback rule.
I wish the rule would be amended. With the ball being if you fumble it out of bounds, the other team gets it. I mean, your team gets it. You fumble it through the end zone, then the other team gets it. I just think they can work through that a little bit better. I had no problem with the hit because, again, what else do you do? I mean, here's a guy that's lunging. So if I'm a defender, how do I stop this guy from scoring? It's really amazing. I was talking to somebody about last week, Lamar Jackson running in on the sideline, or Dory Jackson has a chance almost to make a singular play, and he doesn't attempt to do it, and they score. Whereas they say, we're not letting you in, and they don't score. So that's really the difference in the game.
Yeah.
So that's a 24-22 game, that's way different. So at the same time, the effort, the intensity of Kansas City, that's what their culture is. We're not just going to let you in. And so he made that play. But boy, do I think they need to look at the rule? I do.
Yeah. I don't want to get into an instant replay conversation. However, I do want to ask you, because maybe I think things through too much. I think seeing everything in slow motion makes it look worse. Right.
Yes.
I was having this conversation yesterday. I said, watch someone get punched in the face. You can see it in real time and it just looked like bang. But then you see it in slow motion and their whole face kind of wobbles around. It looks worse. And I've always thought, should instant replay in certain cases just real time? Because if you don't see it in real time, I find it, look, in slow motion, you're going to see that the ball touched the one blade of grass in super HD, right? It's too much for me. Maybe I'm a traditionalist. I don't know. But would you agree with that the slow motion made that look worse?
Yes, it did. It made the hit worse than the ball coming out. I mean, just all of it. It looked like it was helmet to helmet, all those things that we all really don't want in real time that happens bang, bang.
Yeah.
You now get to dissect it all. So I agree with you. There's certain things they need to just let go and let's move on. I think you're adding more time to the game. You're adding more stress to people at home. Don't do that. Let's let everybody move forward.
I'm definitely with you there. So the Chiefs, gutsy, they get through it. The call. We've heard a lot about the call by Andy Reid at the end, right?
Yeah.
Could you have stomached making that call?
But here's the deal. So when everybody go back and play through that play, Anthony, did you notice anything at all?
You gonna put me on this? Did I notice anything at all?
Yeah.
No.
It was a run pass.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they got up there and they looked at the defense. It wasn't like they got up there and all of a sudden he made a decision on this play. I'm talking about Andy. The quarterback had to make this decision.
That's what impresses me.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But that's what you do in those situations.
Yeah.
Because you need the best play. The teams will go up there and just call a play and they get stuck. Because what if they would have got stopped? We all been saying, oh my gosh, why did he throw it? They should have ran it.
Right.
And vice versa, it was the other way. It worked because of the system allowing the quarterback to put the team in the best position to have success.
Yeah. And he's a veteran guy. So I guess you expect him to make the right decision.
Yeah. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Andy. I think it was, but I think everybody said, what a gutsy call. This is their system.
Yeah.
The system is if they have too many that's stacked here and they're playing man coverage on the outside, you run the man route. That's just what they did.
Hey, you know what? For me, the reason I call it gutsy is to put it in the hands of your kind of backup quarterback who doesn't play that much. When you have Patrick Mahomes, right? That's where I think that's a lot of trust in practice and preparation.
I do agree, but that is the easiest throw that he could have made.
Okay.
Sprinting to his right to a guy that's really a 10-yard throw. Come on. If he can't make that, then we need to make sure we get rid of him as fast as we can. That's just what it is.
Hey, fair enough. That's why you're here, is to bring that insight, because there you go. I appreciate it. I'm going to go back and take down all my tweets and say Andy did nothing.
Not that he did nothing.
I mean, no, I'm just like,
you got to make that call. But at the same time, all I've heard is, oh my gosh, Andy Reid's he is an unbelievable strategist. But at the same time, he made a decision to put the ball, as you mentioned, into his backup quarterback's hand, who's a veteran player, who's making a very simple throw. And I give him credit because most quarterbacks, they'll make the decision to run the ball. Some of them are afraid in those situations to say, I'm not taking that chance because now it's on me.
Right.
It's like when he threw the pick, he was like, oh my gosh, because that was going to be on him. All of a sudden the game momentum's changing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to eat this. That's why he ran so hard that play before.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever run so fast in his life.
He's never run fast. So that's what it was. He was trying to make up for the bonehead play.
And you know what? And good for him and good for them that they were able to pull it out. And credit to them for, like I said, making that decision and going with it. So they pull out a win. Let's hope, like I said, Patrick Mahomes is healthy, because he's got to have a tough matchup. You and I both thought that the Ravens, and they were looking good. It looked like they had turned the corner, but last week they kind of looked like the Ravens that we saw, that inconsistent team throughout the season, and the Bills look really good.
Mm-hmm. It goes back to the Ravens' Achilles heel all year has been an inability to throw the football.
Yeah.
At level and complete passes under duress when they need them the most. You didn't see it again. You watch Buffalo, the guy who has been the quarterback's friend all season, Diggs, the guy they brought from Minnesota, have another huge game. So that's who Buffalo is. Now, it's unfortunate they can't run the ball. They did not even attempt to run in the first quarter. That's unheard of. Not even one. That's a record. So that's amazing to me. So on the other side is Buffalo needs to fine-tune their run game a little bit better and still have that connection going with Diggs. If they really want to get to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to find a way to run the ball, because it's not going to always be pretty when you throw it. It gets a little tighter, gets a little tougher, and that's just the nature of playoff football. But at the same time, they are playing some really good ball. They're a really good team. Their defense is playing better. But again, I think they're going to be matched up against what is arguably the best team in football. And that's just what it's going to be.
So I've been hearing it a lot, because right before the playoffs started, I said I think the Bills, not say that they were overrated, but I thought that maybe they were a year away just from Josh Allen being able to take them through some playoff wins. They've proven me wrong in back-to-back weeks. So kudos to them, right? They've played fantastic. When you look at this matchup against the Chiefs, I don't know how much the fans are going to be. And it looked like there's a lot of fans, by the way, in Kansas City, the way they spread them out. It looked a lot like there was a lot of people there. So they're going to head up to Arrowhead. How do you see the game playing out? Obviously, you mentioned the first thing, the Bills need to find a running game. Let's assume Mahomes is good to go. He's healthy. Is this just hey, the Chiefs are the better team? They have, as much talent, and as well as the Bills are playing, the Chiefs still have more talent, so they'll probably come out of this? Or what would be the Bills' game plan to upset them?
I think it's a couple of things.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City went to Buffalo and beat them. And it took a last drive by Patrick Mahomes to close it out. Made some plays, used throws, game over. So I think Buffalo is dealing with that. They're going to Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champions, the defending conference champions, all that is riding on this. So there is normally a tendency for teams that are trying to catch those teams to make a few mistakes. A few mistakes against Kansas City, as long as Patrick's playing, hurts you. It really hurts you. And so I think they will give it their best shot. I think the best chance that Buffalo has is if Josh Allen and Diggs just have a game like for the ages. I really do. If they do that, then hey, more power to him. I just don't see that. I think Spagnuolo is too good of a coach to understand that if he doesn't slow this guy down, he's going to hurt him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they doubled him and let everybody else see if they catch the ball. But I mean, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose to the other guy. I'm not losing to Diggs. And vice versa on the other side, they're going to be trying to slow Patrick Mahomes down. How do you do that with all these weapons that he has? So it's going to be a really good football game. It's a Texas quarterback versus another California kid. We have 3 California guys in the Super Bowl playing quarterback. I mean, this division championship playing quarterback. And I just see this guy from Texas kind of finding his way through this and winning.
So I can't pick against the Chiefs because I think they're too good. And this bodes very well for the fans of Buffalo because I have picked against them every week, and every week they have won. And so I'm gonna keep the streak alive. I'm going with the Chiefs too. I like, to your point, look, I gotta tell you, as much as we talk about the Chiefs offense, and there's a lot to talk about, their defense looks a lot. The last year's team that won the Super Bowl, their defense looks a lot better, right?
Yes.
Than even last year's team, which I think has kept them. You know, we talked about their record. You brought it up last week before they rested everybody. They were 14-1. But they've been in close games, and it's been their defense that's come up big in a lot of these games too. So you got an offense like that and a defense playing, better than last year. It's tough to bet against them. So it looks like we got Chiefs.
Yeah, because if you go to that last drive prior to that, Kansas City got the ball to watch Chris Jones, who they paid a lot of money, make some huge plays to close that out for the defense. That told me all I needed to know. I mean, because he's one of the best players in the league too. And he went and made those plays against Cleveland when they had the momentum going to shut it down and make them punt the ball. There it is. So those guys have that. They have this winning mentality, this grit, this winning pedigree, and they're not going to give it away easily. Somebody's going to have to wrestle it away from them. And I just don't know that there's a team that can wrestle it away from them right now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. So obviously we've talked about our picks. I'm not a big bettor. I like to be safer with my money. and we've talked about the Bitcoin sector, how to manage your money through Bitcoin. I don't know. I've said this to you before. When it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I am about as knowledgeable as my 6-year-old is on the rules of the NFL. So I'm going to leave it to you, the Jackson Financial tip of the week. Tell us about Bitcoin and how to manage your money through there.
Well, there's an app called Voyager, and it is the fastest growing cryptocurrency app in the world. They are, again, they've done a really good job. They have over 50 coins on their app. Obviously, Bitcoin is the mother of all coins. I think it's up to like $35,000 per coin today. But what they do on the app, they allow you to have USDC, which is a 1-for-1. It's like having a bank account. And every month they say how much interest you make on these particular coins. Not all coins can provide interest, but there's interest on most coins, and it becomes compound interest. So if you were to put the money you have in your savings account that really pays you nothing in the US, in Bitcoin, and on the Voyager app, like this one is paying you 8.5% interest. And so I know, I mean, just being very honest, on the $30,000, I made $176. That wouldn't happen if my money was in the bank. And it is assured, it's assured. I mean, it can't go and just go away because it's USDC and it's 1-for-1. The other coins, are they volatile? Is there volatility there? Absolutely there is. I mean, you could be up $50,000, $60,000 one day and back down $20,000 and goes back up. So you have to play in the right coin. So there's alta coins, and then there's Bitcoin, and they all have a description of what they do. I would challenge anybody to go to the app and learn, educate yourself first. This is what's starting to happen in the financial sector. People are starting to do away with money, paper money. Everything's starting to go digital. And so to me, to stay ahead of the curve and try to understand it and try to find a way to maximize your opportunity in it, I think now is the time. And there's an app that doesn't charge you for trading. There's an app that where you can get interest. There's an app that where you can truly manage your money there. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity.
So can you download kind of the Voyager app and learn from the app first, or do you need to go and, research it first and then kind of?
You can download it. Obviously, the only way you can ever trade anything, you have to put in at least $100 to trade. But you can go on the app once you download it and go into the area of all the coins and pick on the coin and see exactly what the description of a coin is. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. It'll tell you everything that the coin is about, what it does, how it works within the system, within the crypto system. And then people start trying to understand it. Now, some of these words are really big, and boy, then you got to go study some more. So for myself, I only deal in certain coins, and I don't mess with all the others, because there is volatility there, and some people can't stomach that.
Yeah, because that's every time I bring up kind of cryptocurrency, the first thing here is, it's so volatile, it scares me. It could go through the roof and then bottom out, and you've lost all your money.
Right.
There's some truth to that.
But
there's some safer coins, right?
Absolutely. There's some much safer coins. And like I said, anybody who's afraid or who's worried about the volatility factor, go into USDC, because it's like having a bank account. It's one for, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to lose it. It's not going anywhere. And it's really amazing. It sits on your phone. That's what's crazy to me. I have this app, and every day I check it like it's something I love, because I've gotten into cryptocurrency and it's done really well for me. So I took the VGX coin. I bought quite a bit of it and started when it was at about 11 cents. Was $1.11 tonight. So that's a lot of upside. And we really think it's going to continue to grow and go. And they're going to come out with a credit card, everything you can think of, to really make this an unbelievable experience for the investors.
Yeah, listen, for me, and I think most people, most of our money, like my bank card, my credit card, they all live on my phone anyways, right?
Yes.
It's a tap, 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 whether it's my watch or my phone or whatever. Anyways, I can't even, I think I've said this to you before. I don't remember the last time. The only paper cash I deal with is when my parents give my kids cash. That's the, and then I got to figure out what to do with it, because what do I do with this? But that's literally the only cash I come across. So
about that. So you've learned to do away with it.
Yeah.
And most are starting to learn to do away with it. On this phone is worth $1 million. It does so many things, and it has so many things on it. And people are now turning to that. How many people you see that are just constantly on their phone? All their information is tied to the phone. And so I hate to say it, do I think where the world is going is right? Well, yeah, they get to track you more. They get to know more of what you're doing. Everything's about analytics. Everything's about data. Is data driven. Now, I get all that. So if it's going to go there, you better, you either get there or you get left. You gotta stay up with the times. They're changing. And so I think I would just challenge anybody to look into it, because it provides another resource for revenue. It gives you a chance to grow your money, and there's an interest factor there. There is too many positives for it to feel negative. And if you're afraid of the volatility, as we mentioned earlier, just stay in the things that are very constant and consistent, and you'll be fine.
All right. Embrace the change, right? Don't fear the change. I feel like we talk about this about a lot of topics about embracing some change. So that actually leads us perfect. Before I actually lead into that, so Voyager, the app, you can get it kind of the app store. It's there. It's available.
Absolutely, Voyager. And if anybody is interested, they can use the promo code COACH and sign up and go with it. I mean, and see what it does for you.
Fantastic. So that's promo code Coach Voyager. You
Mm-hmm.
find it on the App Store. So we're talking about change. And it's, the more things change, the more things stay the same. I don't know how much I'm going to talk here because I know you've got some strong feelings about some of the coaching hires. I don't know. Do we want to run through some of them, or do you want to start with just overall?
No, we can run through some of them. It's just it's very sensitive to me, Anthony. I haven't been a former head coach and a coach in the National Football League and a minority man in the National Football League. And this is a 100-year history of the league. And to see what is going on is a travesty to minority coaches. And until somebody is willing to stand up and take on the fight, I don't see it changing. I don't think things change until somebody makes it change. And I think it's going to take somebody who's willing to dive on a grenade in order for change to happen.
I'm going to start with maybe the good, and then we'll get into the maybe head scratchers or not the bad, but 2 GMs have been hired. How are just from your look, I'm just going to let you talk. What are your thoughts there?
I'm excited for the 2 young men that have the opportunity in Detroit and Atlanta. What I would say is my disappointment is the coaches were already hired before they were hired.
Right, because you have Arthur Smith in Atlanta, and in Detroit, Arthur, Dan Campbell isn't necessarily.
Dan Campbell is a done deal.
It's a done deal. That's why
they reported and put it out there. Yeah. To me, if I'm them and I'm not them, and I'm excited for them and their opportunities. Look, I've had 2 opportunities, so I know what that feels like. They should be excited. But if we're really going to make change, here is 2 men of color who are leading organizations. Allow them to vet out minority coaches before you hand them this other coach. I just don't think that's right. I think we're still saying now they're not ready to pick who could be in the leadership position, and that's one of their jobs.
And we talked about this. I think I brought it up actually last week, where I said I think it was Adam who had mentioned kind of bringing up coaches through the ranks, and I said, hey, as much as you do the bottom up, you need to do the top down, right? You need more general managers, more owners that are minorities, because they'll help, right, diversify the entire culture. And then you get 2 GMs who are minorities, and to your point, they don't get to do their job, which is hire their person. I'm not going to say their guy, right? Their person, right?
You already took that away from them. So, and they had to know heading into it that that's what you were doing. You at least had to give them an idea. So my point is, because I think now the minority coaches look at them different. Because, okay, you're in a position of power. You know what the struggle is, and you still are not making a decision that helps rectify the issues we have with minority coaches. So you create another.
Yeah. Now I don't know these 2 gentlemen, so I'm not going to say that, but it's tough though. Like someone's given you a GM role, and you've worked. I'm sure both Terry and Brad have worked super hard to get to where they are. Mm-hmm. Are you just happy? And it's not, I don't think it's selfishness, but are you just happy to have that opportunity? And you're like, okay, now I can make change once I'm there. So I'm going to let them do this, hire that coach. Or is it their responsibility to say, hold on, if I'm going to take this role, I want to bring in my own team?
Anthony, you have to, because of what has happened. You have to do it that way. You can't say any more than I'm happy and excited about the opportunity. If you don't get it the right way, it's not going to change. Now, if you're not going to be for change, then you're going to do it your way. But if you're going to be for change, you have to stand up and say, no, I need to at least vet these guys. Now, they might not be the best guy, but if I go into this job not having interviewed a couple minority candidates and I'm a minority that's leading this, then I'm just a big part of the problem. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 2 coaches that are there, and then we'll talk about a couple others, because I want to get your take on Urban Meyer especially. So Arthur Smith in Atlanta and Dan Campbell, I guess, is unofficially official with the Lions. How much do you know about them? Is it?
I know enough. I mean, Arthur Smith's been a coordinator in Tennessee for 2 years, and he's done an exceptional job. And his dad is Mr. Smith from FedEx. I get all that, but you can't tell me that there isn't other minority coordinators who haven't coordinated, called plays, and had the same type of impact that is in the National Football League. I can just mention Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton just coached the best rookie quarterback in the history of the National Football League. He coached Andrew Luck. He was in the AFC Championship game. He's been a head coach in the XFL. He's been an offensive coordinator and play caller, and he can't get a job. That's got to tell you something. That's not right. So I have a hard time with that, and that's nothing against Arthur.
Right. Yeah. This is like I said, this is no knock on them.
And I have no problem with Dan Campbell, but Dan Campbell has never been an offensive play caller. He's never been a coordinator. He's a tight end coach. He's a position coach, and he's going to get the head coaching job in Detroit. So Marvin Lewis, who has arguably coached the best defense in the history of the National Football League, and 16 years in one organization, and a Super Bowl champion, and he can't get a job in the National Football League? Jim Caldwell? I mean, it goes on and on and on. So what are we saying? What message are we putting out there to the minority coaches? And I haven't even mentioned Eric Bieniemy.
I'm surprised. He was the hot commodity, right? Everyone wanted him.
I didn't even mention Eric Bieniemy. So that's what I'm saying. Here's a guy who's arguably the leader of an offense that for 2-3 years running has been the best offense in football. A team that's going to go back probably to the Super Bowl again. And he's not worthy of getting a job or having a job. I struggle with those things. I really do, because it tells me nothing's changed.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I heard this, and you'll know better if it's factual or not. The Bears hired Matt Nagy because of the success of the Kansas City offense. But that was really not to say it wasn't Matt Nagy.
Andy Reid.
But really, that's Andy Reid. Right. So I guess the other side.
And Doug Peterson.
I was just the other side of this conversation will say, because I put it out there once I saw these hirings coming down, they'll say, well, that's the trend right now. They're hiring these really young coordinators and they've had success. It's just a putting lipstick on a pig, for lack of a better term?
And Anthony, they move the goalposts every year. Something else gets said. First, it was going to be, boy, they need to be more minorities in the pipeline who are offensive coaches. So they give them a list that here's your offensive coaches and minorities in the pipeline. Oh, let's pivot on this thing. Oh, now they need to be even younger guys who, boy, they're hot. They're whatever they are.
Yeah. Look at Sean McVay, right? That was the name.
Well, we just watched one of his coaches get a head coaching job for being a one-year coordinator on defense. The San Diego Chargers job that has a great quarterback and a real good defensive nucleus. I don't see a minority coach getting that opportunity. Something's wrong. This guy's been in the league 4 years. I just got to tell you something, and he's a one-year coordinator. Look, I can go coordinate the San Diego Chargers and with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. I can do that too. I can just call undercover one the whole time and play it. I mean, so I struggle with this, because you're telling me that there's men of color who don't deserve that same opportunity. How can that be? That makes no sense to me.
It's interesting, because you've said it, and I want to say it again. How you called it the moving goalpost, but it's interesting how the known commodity, right, the proven winner, has now gone from, well, there's a lot of minority coaches who are proven winners, who are proven commodities, who can lead a team, who've been successful. And hey, is there some warts on some of them? Sure. Just like with every coach in every league. Absolutely. But now it's, well, let's move away from that, because there's a lot of, no one ever brings up my favorite. I know I was doing well in college, but no one ever brings up my Lovie Smith. I miss Lovie in the NFL. But there's no commodity. There's a guy who got fired going 10-6. And now all of a sudden it's, all right, let's bring up these young coordinators.
And wait a minute, though.
It must be frustrating, right?
That they let Lovie Smith go for Dirk Cutter. Let's be honest what that was, because they were taking Jameis Winston.
Right.
They didn't want to lose the relationship that Jameis had on offense. So they gave the job to Dirk Cutter. It wasn't because Lovie Smith wasn't a good coach. That's got to tell you something. That's not right. That is not right. And when are we going to take a look at this and say, wait a minute, the men of color don't even get to start at the same place? The starting, it's not the same. It's not a level playing field. You don't have the same opportunity. It doesn't look the same, feel the same. It's not the same. And for people to say that it is a joke.
It's tough because it's this cycle where for minority coaches, you need to have this experience and prove yourself before you get a head coaching job. But then you get to a point where, oh, well, you've been in the league so long that now you're not going to get a chance because you've been a coordinator for so long. But then you see a guy like, and I'm not knocking him, but he did great for my defense, Vic Fangio, right? Who's been a coordinator forever. He's not I know it's a couple of years ago, but he wouldn't have been your prototypical, coordinator that's, fresh and new, yet he still gets an opportunity in Denver. As a coach, as a minority coach who's like, I know you're angry about it, so I'm going to just let you vent a little bit more, right? How does that make you feel about this game, this league that you love so much?
Disappointing to know that in the 100-year history of this league, nothing's changed. What's changed? We're still seen as not really being a part of the league. There's only 30% minority coaches in the league as it is. And we don't occupy the top positions per se in the league. We don't have very many anyway. We only have 2 offensive coordinators that were minorities in the league. I don't know how many defensive coordinators. I mean, there's not many GMs. Now the number's going to go up to 4. There's 32 teams. 32. Not 4, 32. That's a problem. And if we can't be honest about the problem and be real transparent and say really what it is, it's never going to change. Because if we're not going to trace it all the way back to the start of the league when blacks were not included in the league, and it took litigation to get a player into the league of color. That's how it happened. And then walk it through to when there was the first coach in the league. When did that happen? To when it became more players, and when they saw that the minority players brought value to the league, they truly start to let them in. And that's why there's 70% minority players, but yet there's 30% minority coaches.
I am always an optimist. And in 2006, there was 2 minority coaches. I know that I talk as much as I can about my Bears, but there's 2 minority coaches in the Super Bowl, right? It was Lovie and Tony Dungy. Yeah. And that was our first, we knew without a shadow of a doubt there was going to be the first minority coach win a Super Bowl because both of them. And I thought this is like the black quarterback winning and saying, now you've shown, forget all the misconceptions. You've shown that it can be done. Let's move forward. And I thought that was going to be a change, and it wasn't. And, you can't even stack resumes, because that's the one thing we always say is, hey, the best way to do it is, hey, let's look at who's the best qualified, who's going to lead our team. Because at the end of the day, forget everything else. You want to win football games. That's really right. That's the goal, is to win. And I think
the problem, Anthony, I really do. All this, let's get the best guy. Nobody thinks the minority is the best guy. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Well, how do you know that guy's not the best guy? Well, tell me the reason why you think that the guy that left the Rams and went to the Chargers is the best guy. People call him a genius and all. Why? But how are you quantifying that? Based on what? 1 year? 1 year makes somebody a genius? It doesn't. It just doesn't. They get these tags and these narratives, and that's the way it becomes. I get it, but you can't continue to do that and put down the the minority coaches. Why isn't Eric Bieniemy considered a genius? He was just involved in one of the biggest play calls everybody talks about in the game. They talk about Andy Reid. He's supposed to be the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He gets no credit for that.
Well, it's funny, but yes and no. We get. I think people give him credit, but not enough. Not enough to say, because that's the part that confused me. Everybody talked about him.
Yeah, they bring up his name a little bit more because everybody knows he's being passed over so much. And people are saying, how can that be the case? And you have your quarterback saying you're crazy if you don't hire Eric Bieniemy. You got Andy Reid talking for him. But everybody else don't see it that way. Why? Because people have this thought of what he does there in Kansas City. People talk more about Mike Kafka than they do Eric Bieniemy getting the job. And that's disheartening.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's going to interview for the Eagles job. He may get there. That's not even fair. On a staff where here's a guy who is a coordinator, supposed to be responsible, and you're going to jump another guy ahead of him? And look, I get it. The owners can hire anybody they want. But quit talking about diversity and inclusion and having these great meetings and doing all this optic stuff when you do nothing to change it.
At the end of the day, the actions, right? The actions are going to speak louder than the words. Yeah.
Quit sitting here on the soapbox telling everybody we have to get this right. Because you can get it right if you want to. You don't get it right because you don't have to. Because the money hasn't changed. It's getting better. The money's going up. There's no issue. Yeah, the issue is, well, we got a group of guys who are screaming because they want opportunities. Because we keep saying we want to have inclusion and we want to do it right. We'd rather be told, look, you're not going to get him. Go do something else, or go find your way in the National Football League to be what you can be in there. But don't understand you may not get a chance to be a head coach. They'll live with that. What they can't live with is all the, boy, we're going to give you a chance. And when it comes time, you don't get a chance.
And I can tell that's the part that makes, I know at least for you, that upsets you the most, is that saying, hey, if you work hard, because that's always the thing. Well, if you work hard and you do your best, you're going to have an opportunity. But the reality is, well, you're not. So what? Right? It's.
My dad wasn't a coach. My dad was a painter. Nobody handed anything to me. I worked my tail off to get to where I was. Just like most minority coaches, in my opinion, were. I probably was an outlier. I probably slid through the cracks and got my chance like most of us did, and grabbed hold of it in two organizations that people said it couldn't be done. One of them was one of the worst experiences, and one was a damn good experience where the owner died. So it is what it is. But at the same time, to watch other men who should be ascending because they've worked at it, just like I did, and they can't crack the door, man, come on. That's ridiculous.
And the worst part is, right, I hate to beat this more, but I think we definitely have to talk. The worst part isn't just that they're being passed up, right? Because let's say it's, we've talked about Bieniemy a lot. If it was someone who had a better resume, who who worked just as hard, who put in, had success, and that person got the job over him, you're like, okay, I don't like it, but they got the job. But seeing people jumping the line, as it were, for really no reason.
Every year there's something different. Coach Kingsbury, a couple years ago, straight from college, NFL team, head coach in the league. You get the Cardinals job. Everybody was in total shock.
Right.
This year, it's a defensive coordinator, first year. You get the San Diego Chargers job.
It's the Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers. That's how mad I am. You get.
I think you said I passed me by a couple of times.
Detroit, you're now coaching the tight ends. You don't call the plays. You don't really design them. This is Sean Payton's offense. But, you get to go to Detroit and become the head coach. Arthur Smith, okay, hey, you're the offense coordinator at Tennessee. Your dad was involved with the Redskins. Your dad's with FedEx. Not you didn't get a job because of your dad. I get it, but your dad has influence. Arthur Blank, who's Home Depot. They have a relationship. I'm sure him and his dad does. You come here and be the head coach.
Have we ever seen that happen for a minority coach? Ever?
No, I haven't. And if it is, I wish somebody tell me.
Like, has there ever been one where you thought, oh, scratch my head, but wow, that he was a coordinator in college, or he was a college head coach for a short time?
That's never happened. Ever. Never happened. So that's what I'm saying. That's why this is unfair. And unless you mandate something, then what's going to change? Because the league said they're on the cutting edge of things, and they are always looking to make things better. And I'm going to say it again, it's a 100-year history. You ain't made this better. That's got to tell you something. That's got to tell, to me, the answer to the problem is sitting right there for everybody to see, but nobody really wants to go tackle it because it's hard. It's deep diving conversation, it's being transparent, it's pulling the sheets back and everything else and going, whoa, this is what really goes on. Okay. And everybody keeps saying, well, let's get more minority owners. You don't think anybody said that before? I'm going to say it again. It's a 100-year history. You don't think that's been talked about 50 years ago or 75 years ago? Come on. Who are we kidding? That doesn't work. It doesn't happen. That's why it hasn't happened. So quit talking about, well, this is what we got to have. We got to have more of these. Well, we just got 2 new minority GMs, and they both have Caucasian coaches. So how are you making it better?
So how, you mentioned earlier, right, they had to pass legislation to allow minority players. I don't know that you can do that with coaches. Unless you do that, what's the other option? How do you change a culture where, I'm not defending the league here, but even the league, they can't necessarily tell the owners who to hire. They own the team. How do you change that?
Mandated. You mandated taking the head out of the game when it came to concussions. You know how hard that was for coaches? You know how hard that was for players? The head is a part of the body. How the heck do you do that? We're going to take the head out of the game because it's going to make the game better and safer and put people in a position because it's the right thing to do. That's why it was done. Nobody cared what anybody said. That's what you're doing because we're going to make the game better. We keep saying we want to make this issue better. Then make it even. If there's 6 jobs, give 3 to Caucasian coaches and 3 to minority coaches. And then let's let the data tell us how this is working. But stop with this. There's no coaches who are prepared or ready for these jobs.
Oh, I'm trying to keep this show always PG, but that's a little crap that there isn't coaches who are ready and to handle that. So
we know that's a load of crap. Then all the other things that you keep I'm saying that they keep pushing and moving is a load of crap too. Because it's to get it off of what it was. One, they wasn't ready. There's no pipeline. There's no this. What else are you going to say?
So can you, okay, you brought up one, like if there's 6. So there's 2 jobs. I think there's 2 jobs left right now. Is there not?
Yeah.
Right? There's the Eagles and the Texans, right? Can you tell those 2 guys, hey, here's what's going to happen. One can be whatever you want. The other one has to be a minority. What do? They flip a coin? Like how do you, I'm curious because how do you mandate it? You just say, hey, you have to do this?
To me, you just do it. To me, it's still not fair. This is about equality. If you're going to do that, you had 6 when it's 7 when it was all said and done.
Right.
I mean, you want to give 4 to Caucasian coaches and the other 3 to minority coaches. Minorities probably would have said, thank you. There's a chance. What's starting to happen with minority coaches is they feel like there's no hope. And when you don't feel like there's hope, you can forget it. You can forget it when it comes to life. You can forget it when it comes to everything. That's when people die. I hate to say it that way.
But
you don't have hope, you die.
If you feel there's no hope you're going to get a head coaching job, you stop shooting for it. And
getting a head coaching job. It's about having the opportunity and feeling like people are there to help see you have that opportunity. I don't think there's there's people that mention Eric Bieniemy's name because it was so hot. It's been so hot for the last 3 years. They got to keep mentioning it, but there's no result. And then they bring up all these negative things. I'm sure you heard the negative things about Eric. He's a bad interview, all the stuff that happened 20 years ago. And I never forget on I Am Athlete podcast, I go, what's so interesting about that? If it was a problem, how is he the offensive coordinator of Kansas City Chiefs today? He wouldn't be. But yet we want to talk about that. Then they come out and try to reverse that story. Oh, no, he was a great interview. Whoever said that, we're mad. But that was reported and said. I don't hear people doing that with the Caucasian coaches. You don't hear it like that. That's not right, Anthony. It's so different when you're a black man and trying to climb the ladder that's supposed to be, like you said, the best guy gets a job. No, it's you guys stay in your place because that ain't your place. Let's just be honest. That's not your place. Those jobs are for others. It ain't for you.
So we've said this a lot. No one's going to change unless you force change. Mm-hmm. How do you expose? Because listen, it's a good interview, bad interview thing. You're not hiring. Look, if you're hiring someone based on one interview, right? That's a pretty bad decision in any business. Because I'll tell you, I'll speak for myself. I'm a great interview. I can't do every job.
If you're giving somebody $1 billion job, because they're leading $1 billion organization, mm-hmm. and on 1 year, are you going to say your gut told you that this is the right guy, and there's no evidence of consistency, and you haven't seen them fail and how they react to failing and how they react to a whole different number of things? 1 year of success don't cut it. It takes time. You have to go through things. You have to have experience. I want people who've been through the war because I know they have the experience to come out the other side when things need to be fixed again. If I got a guy that all he's ever known is success, I would be lucky to get the guy that all he knows is success. And we said something earlier that keeps sticking with me. I guarantee you if Bill Belichick didn't have a job, he'd be able to pick either one of these jobs he wanted. Why? Because he's a Super Bowl winning coach. Right. But not Jim Caldwell, who's won a Super Bowl. Not Marvin Lewis, who's won a Super Bowl. Come on. It's ridiculous. And it needs to stop because you're killing the heart of minority men. It's got to stop.
This is not going to be the last time we talk about this because there's still 2 coaching positions.
It might be because I'm so enraged about it today because I've seen this coming for years. I've never been on the outside looking in. I've been in. So I try, you keep your blinders on, you keep going. But when you're on the outside, you really start to feel it, see it, and really see it for what it is. Oh my gosh. And people used to try to tell me that and say, you don't get it. I'd be like, oh, it's going to be okay. Because I was in it. And I knew what my value was. And I was making those things happen. But boy, do I see it now? Absolutely, I do. And I feel bad for the young minority coaches that are coming up. Now, let me give you another one. How many head coaches you think's been hired in college that are black?
I don't follow that as closely, so I'm sure you tell me. One.
At Marshall. One. And he was the running back coach at Alabama. He got the head coaching job at Marshall just 3 days ago. Are you kidding me? Think about how many college jobs were open.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's the same way everywhere. Everywhere. It ain't just here in the NFL. It's in college football as well. It's across our world. Let's just be honest. But nobody really want to dive in to what it's really all about. And that's what it is. And they don't know who you are. They want people that look like them. Look, quit saying that stuff because they have players that don't look like them. I get so tired of hearing that. They go up and hug those players, high five them, go have dinner with them. Their families all engaged with them. They don't know those players, but yet they love those players because you know why? They're making money. They put fans in the stands. 70% minorities, 30% white players. Hello. So it's a joke what's going on. It needs to stop.
I wish I had the answer on how to fix it.
No, I don't.
Right? I'd love to say to you, hey, let's do this, because you said not enough people talk about it. Well, that's why we're doing this, was we need to, it starts somewhere. And you know, I'm rarely, you know this, at a loss for words, and I'm stuttering right now because I don't know what to, because it's clear. Like it's not like it's a hidden. It's not like you don't just look and see it and you're just like, yep, there it is. It's not something that's hard to see. There's, like I said earlier, there's a lot of excuses and
Anthony,
reasons.
do you diversity and inclusion report that comes out every year on the National Football League?
Say that again? There's
a diversity and inclusion report that comes out on the National Football League every year. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
That's so me as a coach, I've been in the league as many years I've been in the league. I didn't know that until after I was out of the league. Every year that gives them a grade of what they've done the previous year. And it's you can go find it. You can go look it up. But they don't talk about that. They don't talk about how bad it's been. And they've had people make these reports of what they have done and what hasn't worked and what should work. That's why I think it's a crock. Because if you're going to do all of that, put it out there. Don't be afraid. Put it out there. How else do you fix it if everybody doesn't know? Nobody, it's so funny when I talk to people, some people don't even know this is a 100-year history of the league. And some people don't know that there's now only been 19 minority head coaches in the 100-year history of the National Football League. 19. That's a joke.
That is just simple math tells you that's ridiculous.
And the 19 was added this year, and he's Lebanese. It's the biggest joke I've ever seen in the world. So, but we all don't want to, well, let's not talk about this too much. Let's not go there. It's going to get better. We're going to do things. Boy, we gotta solve this. We just need more Black ownership. We need more Black GMs. We need more people that look like us that can make we got 2 more guys that look like us now. They didn't make a difference. They didn't make a difference. So don't tell me that. It's time to quit us as minority men and coaches who've been in the league accepting that. Don't tell me there's 2 more in the league now, because you didn't allow them to do what they should have been doing, which is hiring minority coaches.
Right.
That you can't do that no more. And that's what, to me, my message to my brothers who are in this, stop. When they say, oh, okay, they hired, man, no, it's not. I can't even tell you why those guys were hired. And I'm sure they're great at what they do. And I respect them to the fullest. And like I said, I'm very excited for them. But are they set up to fail? Are they really making the decisions? Are they really the men that the organization is going to lean on to hire, fire, really build the organization and football team? Or is somebody else really lurking to say, this is how we're going to do it? We don't know. Because owners, as we said earlier, can do what they want. We don't really know. But you would bet your bottom dollar, it don't look good. It don't look good from here.
And it's part of the problem, right? Because right now I don't want to call it the off season because we're in the middle of the playoffs, but in the off season, it doesn't look good. And we'll probably talk about it and people will talk about it. But once football starts again, like right now it's the playoffs. Like I said, we're not talking about it. Off season, we'll talk about it. Football will start again. And we're all just so excited to watch football again because we love it so damn much that we stop talking about it. I didn't know about the diversity report, so I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to share it as much as I can because that is something that should be shared. We talked a lot about these younger coaches that are just getting opportunities without having proven track records. There is one coach who's hired in Jacksonville with a lot of college experience in Urban Meyer. What do you, and again, this is no knock on Urban Meyer as a coach, but how, here's, you're pulling from both sides of the table. You're saying, well, it's these young guys that we want to give a chance to. Oh, here's this, no offense, old guy with a proven track record in college, not in the NFL. Well, how's he getting as much as these young guys are, how's he getting an opportunity over proven NFL commodities?
With a medical history.
Right.
Somebody need to tell me. I wish I knew.
Is that ownership trying to sell tickets?
Yeah,
I know we can't sell.
I don't care about. Those are the things that hurt so much. Urban Meyer, God bless him. Look, if you can get it as a man, you get it. Nobody, like you said, nobody's against Urban Meyer. But you watch the guy who was very successful in college, very successful as a broadcaster. Now he gets the premium job, per se, in the National Football League. He's got the first overall pick where he can pick the quarterback and set himself up for the future. My question is going to be, I can't wait to see who his coordinators are going to be. Because I watched him come to the quarterback symposium and talk to minorities in the room. He was there. So he knows what the issue is. So if you are there now in the league and you can make a difference, let's see what you do. That would be my challenge to him. You got it now, but let's see what you're going to do to better and further this situation that you said is an issue as well. We're going to see if he's going to put his money where his mouth is.
As a minority coach, as a coordinator, if one of these guys, and I'm not saying you in particular, but I will say you in this case because you and I are talking, calls you up and says, hey, I need someone with experience and I want to help and I want to, it's important that there's minority coaches on our staff because our players and all says all the right things. Are you hesitant? And when I say you, collective, I'm going to have you speak for everyone. Are you hesitant to take that job, or do you say, hey, here's an opportunity, I'm taking that job?
There's an opportunity because we don't have enough people in those positions.
Right.
You can never ascend if you don't get to those positions. That's why there's not more minority coaches with opportunities now. They're not quarterback coaches. They're not offensive play callers. And so where do they come from? I've been saying that now for a whole year and a half. Somebody need to tell me where these guys are going to come from. And like I said, the most disappointing part is you look at these divisional championship games. There's 4 men of color who are in premium positions, and none of them are lined up to get a job. Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, Leslie Frazier, and Eric Bieniemy. You don't really hear anything about those guys. Yeah, Todd interviewed at Philly, but come on, are you kidding me?
No, but all for huge reasons those teams are where they are, right?
Thank you. And that's what I'm saying. And so these guys don't even have a chance. That we don't talk about Leslie Frazier. We don't talk about Byron Leftwich. We talk about Eric, like I said, because he's been talked about a lot. We don't talk about Todd. That's why I stopped myself tonight and said, wait a minute. His defense made a difference in that game. Because we have to be more intentional about the things we say and give those guys their credit because that's what they do for the other guy. So this guy who left the freaking Rams is a genius now. So Todd Bowles isn't?
He looked pretty smart. He looked pretty smart last week.
That's what I'm saying. What is it? How do you know this guy's a genius and Todd Bowles isn't?
Oh, it's because that's what you want to see. Let's call a spade, right? It's what the owners want to see, and so that's what they're seeing.
So they saw it last week. They saw what that man did last week. They took the ball from Drew Brees 3 times an interception, 4 times total when the offense went and scored. That was his defense. That wasn't Bruce Arians' defense. Bruce Arians, the head coach. That was Todd Bowles' defense. So that's what I'm saying. So, okay, but this guy can have a Chargers job. I struggle with that. Because that's what you hear.
We all should. We all should. That, and maybe that's part of the problem. We don't, and we all should.
Absolutely. Well, I don't hear people at ESPN saying, "Wait a minute, okay," but having these kind of conversations.
Well,
that's the big media mogul that has to say enough is enough. You're looking at it for what it is. Quit talking about diversity and inclusion. We want it better. I've seen a report for the first time in a long time that came up with Michelle Still tonight, where she talked about the GMs who were hired. But boy, we look at the coaching side, boom, she had pictures of everybody. I saw that. I thought that was a great start. But let's have some real digging dialogue. Yeah, the pictures and that is good. But somebody needs to say, wait a minute, we need to have a forum about this. Look, we marched on MLK Day. Everybody, I finally truly I know what MLK Day is, but now here's all these marches that went on for what Dr. Martin Luther King stands for. And I think that's awesome. It's time to start marching about this. It is, and because it's been 100 years, and it's going to be another 100 years if we let it go. It's finally time that people lock arms and stand for what is right and demand that things become equal in this world. And if it doesn't, it will never change. And it will never change for my kids or your kids or others' kids who have aspirations of being coaches and wanting to have that opportunity and being good enough to go be the best at what they do. That's what my concern is. It's not me. It's not about me. It's about others who are going to come after me who used to look at me and say, wait a minute, I want to be Hugh Jackson. And now all of a sudden they go, dang, man, Hugh's out of the league. He can't get a job. And there's nobody else getting the job neither. So it's easy to say why Hugh's not getting the job because nobody else is getting the job neither. That's right.
I said this on Monday, obviously being Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I said, it's interesting. It's sad. I didn't say interesting. I said, it's sad. He was assassinated in 1968 and it's 2021. And for as much that has changed, not much has changed, right? It's still the same, right? It's still the same conversation, a lot of the same conversations. That was a long time ago. And he would be rolling over in his grave to think that he died for something that just, still is a huge issue. And I know we're just talking football. It's obviously bigger than just football, but in terms of football, we've got over the next couple of weeks, we've got some former ESPN employee and an ESPN employee coming on the show, and hopefully, that conversation, as many people, I'm working as hard as I can to get as many of those people on the show to have these conversations because it's so important.
I know Jamaica's excited about her being there because she's a real one. She don't run from what's right. And so I'm excited about that. There'll be others. I know other people that would come on. I do it better. This past weekend was very hard for me. It was very tough for me. It's just hard, it's when you think about the way this is, and I'm gonna make this statement, and it's very tough to make, but it's the truth. You have the NFL, and then we all keep talking about these white owners, okay? And then you look at the players, and it's like, even though they get paid handsomely, it's like all of a sudden, here comes the slave mentality. And then you got the players, and they're blacks, and they're part of that too. It's like the slave mentality when it comes to players and coaches. Because here's these very powerful white men that sit at the top. They don't think these minority men can have the same kind of conversations that our white brothers can. That, to me, is what this world was founded on for the wrong reasons. And we don't want to see it. And I'm going to say it is so simple to see in the National Football League if you go back to the start of the league. Blacks were not intended to be a part of the league. It took 40 years before any black player was ever playing in the league. And it took someone filing a lawsuit and for that to happen. And that's what I'm saying. So if we can't really talk about what the issue is and really understand what the problem is, there is no chance of fixing it. I'm sorry. And I've always been that way. Man, it's going to change. It's going to get better. But the more I've lived and seen It's only gotten worse. It's not gotten better. And me and you are not the only people that are talking about this. We're not the only people that tried to have conversations. It's just what you said. They start up, it comes football, they die. You wait till the draft comes. You wait till the Senior Bowl comes. Those things start. Man, all those conversations about coach, they go out the window. Because nobody is there hasn't been anybody to go carry that torch and say, I'm not letting this die. I can't, for the right reasons. We're talking about doing what's right. We're not talking about doing something that's wrong. We're talking about doing something that's right. The right thing to do in this world, that's what we're talking about. And it never becomes right. That's the problem. We do what's normal. I've just said this before. What's normal is Black coaches don't get head coaching jobs. White coaches do. You Black men, y'all stay over here. Look, I've been without a job for 2.5 years, going on 3 years. Do you know how many people have been fired that's been white that get position coaches job, coordinator jobs, whatever you want to call it in this league? They're not sitting at home.
And I'm not just saying this. I'm not just saying this because we have the show together. I've told you this before. One of the best offensive coordinators, if you go back and look at your track record, there's no reason why if you want to coach, you shouldn't be coaching.
That's what I'm saying. You can't get a job. That makes no sense to me. And I've gotten to a point, I'm not mad about that. I'm mad about it all. Yeah. Because it all engulfs the same thing. It reeks of something that shouldn't be happening in this world today. And it's everywhere. It's in college football, it's in pro football, it's in this walk of life, it's in that walk of life. And until people are really stand up and say, I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm not afraid of the National Football League, the side football league, this football. I've been through it. I've done it. You're not going to tell me something that I already don't know. I've had my butt kicked up over my shoulders. I'm not afraid of what this is going to look like down here. Nobody's paying my bills but me. So at the end of the day, I don't worry about it. But I'm disappointed in how things are today. I really am.
The change is going to have to be forced. Do you think the players, the 70% and the other 30% who support the 70%, like let's, hopefully, is it crazy to think they just walk out and say, make a change?
They're going to have to.
Right? Like that's as we're talking, I'm trying to think of ways. And that's the only thing that I think hurts enough people that they actually make a change.
Anthony, that's the biggest way. That's the best way. That's the fastest way. That's the way you're going to get results. But I say this all the time. I think it's very hard for players because they don't want to lose their value. How do you say to Patrick Mahomes, we need you to stand up for this when the guy who's his coach, which is the right fit for him, helped this man accomplish making almost $500 million? Yeah. How does that happen? How does a player who's worried about, I got 5 kids from 4 baby mamas and I'm one of the best in the league, I go and I do this, I'm going to lose my opportunity of feeding my family.
Yeah.
Because we're living pretty good. That's what I'm concerned about. Or because the players, they're young, they can't see really what this is into the future. If they have young kids who want to be coaches or play, they can't really see. So I've heard that. I mean, there's no doubt that they have the most power, but I don't think they've ever used it right and for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned because I know I keep coming back to the 100-year history. There's been other players that before that's seen this side of it. They know. They've never done it before. And there were some strong Black men in those eras. And they haven't stood up other than that one group with Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that group of men, John Wooten back in the day that stood up down in Cleveland, for that situation. I'm not saying that we don't have strong men like that. I don't think we think like that no more. That's not normal to do. What's normal to do is fall in line, take whatever you get, and keep on moving. And find a way to maneuver, find a way to justify it in your head and say, okay, that's just the way it is. Enough with that crap.
we're running a little long, so I'm going to ask you this one last question because you brought up a good point about the players, what they did then and now. Is it the money that's making it? The money's hard. It's right. I'm making so much money now. How can I complain?
What can I say? Because those are the guys that did the fighting for us, and it didn't change. So I'm gonna go out there and fight too, and lose everything. I ain't doing that, and I'm not mad at them. I understand. I get it. I totally understand that, but that is hard. That is hard to do, and especially if you feel like you're doing it with just you. How many of my brothers are coming with me? All y'all coming, or just a couple of y'all?
Well, we saw what happened, right? One tried to do it alone, and we see where he is now. So, not that he's in a bad place, but I'm sure he would have rather been playing the last few years.
But the one time we did see the players flex their muscles was when? That situation, when the commissioner came out and said, you know what? It was okay for him to kneel. It was the only time.
Yeah.
So
I know. Listen, they have the ultimate power because without the players, there is no league. But I also get what you're saying. It's to put yourself out there. We talked about this last week. You got to lose for everybody to gain. And how much do you got to lose?
You will laugh. You can be in a room with people and they'll tell you, I'm in. I'm doing it. I'm going to be there. There's no doubt. We all going this together. The next day, 2 of them show up because they had a chance to get away from it and really think about it. And they go, uh-oh. They look around and say, I can't do this.
I said that when a few friends wanted to go skydiving. Same thing, right? You're taking a leap of faith.
So I get it. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity to really get that off my chest because it does. It hurts. It's frustrating because I thought there would be a different outcome to a lot of things. And when you have the number of 7 opportunities sitting out there, you think, man, we got to find a way to make this fair. There's so many things that I wish that would happen. You wish the first coach hired would have been a minority coach because that would have sent the right message. That just sent the right message and backed some of this off. But no, then it became a piling on effect. And let's keep hiring. Let's keep passing over. I'm done with it.
I knew you needed to get it off your chest, and because I'm watching it and it's bothering me. I'm like, really? No, another? And I'm just, I actually thought to myself, Coach is not going to be happy this week. I hope we can get through the show, and we did. And as always, I appreciate your time. Next week, we're going to have a guest who is not shy about speaking her mind. So I think that will obviously be another great conversation. As always, thank you very much. From everyone at the Coach and AK Experience. We'll see you next week. This has been the Coach and AK Experience, part of the Sports Fluent Network.